This is 3.4, example number 1. It says the table shows the total time it took Samir to read 0, 1, 2, 3 pages of the book. Fill in the rest of the table and graph the relationship represented in the table. Now, you can look at the table and it says Samir is reading number of pages X, total minutes Y. That means the number of pages will be graphed on the X-axis and the minutes will be graphed on the Y-axis. The X-axis is horizontal, so it's left to right, and the Y-axis is vertical, which means it's up and down. I went ahead and filled in the ordered pairs just to save time since it takes a little bit of time to use my computer to write these. And so you can see I did the parentheses and then I did X and then Y. So 0, 0. For the next ordered pair, I did parentheses 1, 4. The next one I did parentheses 2, 8. And on the last one I did parentheses 3, 12. You have to put the X first. So the X always goes first, it goes on the left, the Y goes on the right. Now we're going to go ahead and graph them. I also labeled, so my graph didn't come labeled, but I went ahead and labeled it because that's really important for people to be able to understand your coordinate plane and ask questions about it and find the answers. So I went ahead and wrote down here pages and then on the left minutes, and the reason I did pages down here was because pages, you can see right here, represents the X axis and minutes represents the Y. So whenever you do these, make sure you graph them and label them in the right place. So we're going to start at 0, 0, which is pretty easy. It's right down here. And from the last video, you know that that is called the origin, 0, 0. And then we're going to go number of pages 1. So go over on the pages 1. We always go over before we go up. I was telling my class, you always have to go to the stairs before you can go up the stairs, whether you're in your house or at school or wherever. So we go over to the stairs before we go up. So we're going to go over 1 and then up 4. Then we're going to go over 2, up 8. And you can see this last one won't quite fit. It's over 3, up 12. And that is okay because we need 2 points to be able to graph a ratio relationship. And we actually have already graphed 3, so we're good to go. I'm not on Big Ideas, so I can't just tap it and it creates a straight line. Instead, I have to draw it, which is pretty hard on the computer. If you're working at home and you're working on your notes, I want you to grab a ruler if you have one, or grab the edge of a book or edge of a piece of paper and make sure your line is straight, because the line needs to be perfectly straight in order to answer questions about that particular coordinate plane. But since I don't, I'm really sorry. I'll try to make this as straight as I can, but I always start at 0, 0, and luckily this one actually has a point at 0, 0, so we're good on that. And I'm going to go straight through these lines. I know that wasn't perfect. If I was on Big Ideas or working on my piece of paper, it would be, but that's as good as it's going to get for working on the computer. So that is how you graph these ratio relationships. Even if your table, which most of the time it doesn't, if your table doesn't have right here this ordered pair column, I would recommend writing them off to the side so that you can make sure you have your X and the Y in the same place. The biggest thing is remembering when we graph that we go over on the X-axis before we go up on the Y-axis.